everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our app speed dating session. This session is going to be a little bit different from our other panel discussions. Today, our panelists are joining us from different finance and business apps, Translucent and Weel. Each of our panelists will have just 10 minutes to pitch their solution and convince you why they are your perfect app match. Before we dive in, my name is Shauna. I'll be timekeeping today's session, and I'm the Senior Marketing Manager at Weel. I promise I won't be biased. If you're not familiar with Weel, we are the leading spend management solution in Australia, helping finance teams of all shapes and sizes to control spending and streamline their back office admin. While Weel are the team behind today's event, we couldn't do it without our wonderful sponsors. So a big thank you to CFO Magazine, Translucent, and Fathom for making today possible. Now, if you haven't joined us for any of our earlier sessions, I'll just run through some housekeeping quickly. We have limited time for this session, so if you do have questions, please pop them in the Q&A and they won't be missed. And feel free to interact in the chat as well. After each demo, we'll be launching a poll so that if you do want to learn more about one of the apps that you see today, they'll be able to get in touch with you after this session. Okay, I think we've covered all the housekeeping. So let me now introduce our dates, if you will. Today, we're joined by Cale Bulgan, Sales Director at Weel, and Lauren Crawford, Senior Development Manager of APAC at Translucent. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us today. This session's always a little bit of fun, and I'm really excited to see you go up against each other and who'll win. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. And I'd love to hand over to Lauren. So if we could, drop the slides. Amazing. I have a 10-minute timer. I'm going to launch in a moment. Tell me when you're ready, Lauren, and we can kick it off.
No pressure. We're just a couple of weeks late for Valentine's Day, so apologies about that. But yeah, let's do it.
Done.
Okay, so about Translucent. Now, if you attended this morning's, I think it was 10 a.m. session on AI, last year's CFO Summit, or any of the Zero events that have been around the globe in the past 12 months, you may already be acquainted with Translucent. We're the new kids on the block. We've been around for about 2.5 years now, so I will definitely forgive you for not recognizing the logo. Many of you may have used Receipt Bank or recently rebranded to Dext in the past. So we were founded by the same founder as Dext, Michael Wood. And the background here is relevant because the idea for Translucent came while working on the Receipt Bank business. I was also there for about 5 years at one point in time. And at the time, they were 8 entities, a mixture of Xero, QBO, and the Eastern European business was being run on Excel. And it was really here that Michael felt the pain of being a multi-entity business, whether that's managing consolidations, different chart of account code sets across every general ledger, messy intercompany, treasury, multiple currencies. Everything was just more painful and more time consuming than it needed to be. Eventually, enough pressure from whether board, senior management, and finance team, a decision was made to move to NetSuite. Again, that was very time consuming, very painful, and in the end, didn't really give us everything that we had hoped to solve. And Michael, having been through that experience, thought there has to be a better way to run a multi-entity business, and that's where the inspiration for Translucent came from. So, very simply put, we are building the #1 tool for multi-entity businesses. And what we're trying to do is allowing you to have a group level visibility over all of your financial data across all general ledgers at any time. So rather than working in silos in each general ledger, which is typically what happens now when operating as a group, you essentially have one group operating system. That was a phrase that I stole from a customer a little while ago. I'll give them absolutely no credit for it, but I thought that summed it up quite nicely. And how are we doing this? So we're doing it by building on top of your existing accounting software. So Translucent will allow you to connect to each individual entity within your group. That might be several instances of Xero. It may be multiple QBO files in the group, or quite often a mixture of both if you're doing business, particularly internationally. So we can cater to all of those scenarios. So why are we building in this way? Well, Very simply, most businesses are super happy on Zero. They're, content with their QuickBooks files. They don't want to leave, and we want them to be able to continue operating seamlessly on their general ledger of choice. And quite often, the individual accounting of each entity isn't entirely complex in and of itself. So, implementing an ERP system is almost like buying a chainsaw to trim your mustache. Disclaimer, that was a chat GPT suggestion. Don't come at me, but you get the sentiment. So when you feel like you are starting to outgrow Zero, it may actually be because you don't have the correct technology in place. And that is where we can help. So until now, there hasn't really been a magic bullet that you can solve the multi-entity problem in its entirety. You have a single problem, there's an app for that. And so you can end up with a never-ending scaling stack of apps that don't interact with one another. Costs can very quickly get out of control. And one of the biggest pieces of feedback we receive from finance teams is just around the scaling amount of software needed to run their organization. And this is, of course, compounded when you're operating as a group. So while we're trying to solve the pain points around being a multi-entity business first and foremost, we're also super cognizant of this idea of app fatigue. I'm sure, can't see everyone's faces right now, but I'm sure there's a lot of nodding heads. And it's just that constant need to add a new piece of software to your app stack every single time you're trying to solve a problem. The incessant context switching, learning new products, a new person joins the org, you're having to get them set up on, an endless amount of logins. And that's why we're super passionate about bringing a wide range of workflows to finance teams all under one roof, some of which you can see on the screen now. So we're releasing roughly an app a quarter at the minute via our public launch events. Next one is on the 29th of May, so you can sign up directly from the website if you would like to follow on the journey. And the beauty of how Translucent is structured is that you only choose the apps that you need. You don't buy Translucent as a all-encompassing tool. You could come and say, hey, I just want to purchase, intercompany. I just want to purchase consolidation. Or you can the good old online shopping of putting everything in your cart and go for everything. So it's really a choose your adventure scenario. Now, if you've been to any Zero event around the world in the last 12 months, then you may recognize this little guy. We're having a little bit of fun with some eye-catching marketing techniques, and we have inadvertently become known as the skunk guys. So without context, that might, have negative connotations. He's yet to be named, so I'm all ears if you've got any cool suggestions. But more importantly, if the answer to this question is yes, then we definitely should have a chat after this call. Now, I only have a short amount of time, and I know Sean is keeping watch, so I won't be able to show you the entire product, but I will leave you with some of the showstoppers to give you a sense for what we're all about. So, gone are the days of downloading batches of static data from each Zero file and manually managing your intercompany loans in spreadsheets. With Translucent, you now have full access to the state of affairs across your entire intercompany loan account. You can see where the discrepancies lie, signified by the red box on the screen just now. To take that a step further, Translucent will auto-reconcile all of the intercompany transactions between each of the entities, and perhaps more excitingly, it will allow you to post the corrective adjustments back into the respective Zero files, including FX adjustments as well, so no more having to juggle logins between files. Second question, are prepayments and deferred revenue causing pandemonium? If so, we can help you. Now, it's worth noting that the majority of the products that we currently have are related to being a group or a multi-entity business. Prepayments and deferred revenue is actually one of the products that has a single entity application too, so you're more than welcome to check that out if it is relevant. So prepayments, what does that look like? Firstly, we will automatically select your prepayments accounts. We will show you which prepayment invoices are new and therefore require your attention. We'll then allow you to set parameters or policies around each of those suppliers. We'll then enable you to post those journals back into the general ledger on a cadence that is predetermined. And we'll also allow you to audit all of your existing schedule as well. Same concept for deferred revenue, revenue recognition. We will also allow you to automatically select the deferred revenue accounts, show you which deferred revenue invoices are new, therefore allowing you to act upon them. We'll create a policy for each of those customers, enable you to post these back into the general ledger at an apportionment that makes sense to you. And of course, as well, we'll allow you to audit your existing deferred revenue schedule. Of course, with a focus on multi-entity business, we also do consolidation. So you'll be able to log in and have full consolidated reporting at your fingertips across all entities. You can customize those reports as you will. You can have transactional level drill down, and we'll also give you group level visibility over all of your accounts payables and your accounts receivables with a deep link back to the general ledger for each. Now, before jumping into consolidation, many multi-entity orgs may find value in doing a cleanup of existing tracking categories. If you have never done this before, please go ahead and do this. This is actually a free tool within Translucent. So if you connect your files, we will allow you to access the audit function for free. So we'll highlight to you any discrepancies that will then allow you to streamline how tracking is used across the group. Very rarely do we have orgs that sit down and look at what is happening in each individual file. You could have HR set up in one, human resources set up in the other one, and human resource perhaps singular in another. And one of the biggest restricting factors, excuse me, one of the biggest restricting factors of a growing oh, need to have a cough a moment. Flu season, I think. One of the biggest restricting factors of a growing group on Xero, many of you on here today may be experiencing it as well, is a lack of tracking categories. Translucent will allow you to add an additional 6 tracking categories within the platform. They sit within Translucent. We don't yet push them back into the Xero files, not possible. And the $1 million question always comes up is, how much do you cost? So very simply, pricing per app. So mentioned before, you just purchase what you need, come on board with what you need. And each app for a multi-entity business is charged at $99 per month, billed annually. And last but not least, with 10 seconds to go, if what I've spoken about today resonates, then definitely happy to take you through the platform one-on-one. You can do that in a session with myself, or if you prefer to take out a trial account and then we can go through your own data together. Very happy for that. The QR code will give you a link to my full diary so we can book in a session. If you want to email me directly, you're also welcome to do that. And translucent.io is where you can find us. Feel free to start a trial account and we'll look forward to speaking with you very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. That was amazing. Very well put together. And yeah, you kept your composure mid cough and everything. So no,
yeah,
really great overview. We're now going to run a poll. If you'd like to learn more about Translucent, either scan that QR code or answer in the poll and we'll pass on your details. I did have a question though, from Leanne. And I think I've read it correctly, but does Translucent cater for extensive notes to accounts, or does it add dollar figures together, only add dollar figures together?
So repeat that again. So related to managing FX and multi-currencies of general ledgers, is that what you're getting at?
Potentially, Leanne, if you want to jump in and just
see the
clarify.
question on my end.
Oh, it's in the Q&A. That's all right. We can always get back to Leanne after this. Oh, for consolidations.
I can't see. I may have to follow up with you after, Leanne, if that's okay.
I'm just going to post this to you as well, Lauren. That was the original question.
On my end
oh, you can't see it? That's okay. It's just that Leanne's saying they have lots of notes on their accounts. So just wondering if it carries those across. That's fine. We can get back to you later, Leanne. Apologies. And one from John, are prepayments accruals also $99 a month? That's a price.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So each app is charged at $99 per month, billed annually. Doesn't matter if you've got 2 entities or 202 entities, same price.
Fabulous. Awesome. All right. That is time for us now. We are going to move on to Kale from Weel. Thanks again, Lauren. Kale, you're up.
Thank you.
Yep. We've got Risha behind the scenes. Kale, you've got your own. Yep. Amazing. Fabulous.
Awesome.
Okay. I'll start the clock now. Good luck.
Thanks so much, Shauna. Hi, everyone. It's awesome to be here. As Shauna mentioned, my name's Kale. Been with Weel for 5 years now. In a prior world, I was an accountant, and my first foray into sales and tech was with Xero. So know the space pretty well. I'm not going to have time, of course, to go through all of the details of the Weel solution. That would take about an hour or 2 hours. Um, but what I might start with is just sharing like why finance teams actually meet with us and are curious to learn more about the Wheel solution. There are a number of reasons, but if I boil it down, there's probably three key reasons why finance teams want to engage in a conversation with us. Firstly, they are frustrated with dealing with the banks to access, issue, manage, and cancel corporate cards. It's cumbersome. There's limited control, and there's lots of paperwork, phone calls involved in that process. The next reason is that finance teams are annoyed with consistently chasing up receipts, fixing coding errors, and processing manual reconciliations. And then finally, they might be worried about fraud risks or potentially overspending across the organization, particularly when it comes to corporate cards and reimbursements. So that's why finance teams speak with Weel. In terms of the product, we are Australia's leading spend management and accounts payable platform. Very different to expense management. There are a lot of apps out there that allow staff to upload receipts and code expenses and ultimately automatically get that data into your accounting system. What really separates Weel from the rest of the pack is our ability to facilitate payments and spend with these really strict policies and spending control guardrails across the business. So, diving into the product, one of the first things I want to talk through is onboarding and offboarding users and issuing cards. We do things really differently to a traditional corporate card program. For your employees, there's no paperwork, wet signatures, talking to the bank to issue cards within Weel. All you need to do is invite them from the people page, assign one of our predefined roles or create your own. And then what we do is we add employees to budgets. Budgets, not to be confused with your annual budgeting and forecasting. A really helpful way to think about budgets in Weel is based on team, department, cost center, location, or a combination of those. And what we're doing when we create budgets is we're essentially saying who in the business can spend how much money and on what. So for example, in this operations budget, I've issued James and Joseph here a Weel Visa debit card with their own set spending limits that automatically top up on a monthly basis. One of the key benefits of having the card issuing and the payments tied directly in with the expense solution is that before finance even knows a payment's made, our system is able to then automatically chase and remind employees for that really important expense data. So if James here makes a payment with his Weel card, within about 5 seconds on his mobile device, it's already getting a friendly reminder for us, chasing up that really critical expense reporting data. Within all of our cards, we can also set coding rules. So rather than an employee that has no idea about we can restrict these cards to only be coded to specific GL categories that relate to the expenditure that they're doing. From an administrative level, you have full oversight and control of all of the cards issued out in the business. And with one click, you can freeze or issue a replacement of those cards, not disrupting and waiting weeks or months for a new card to be issued and mailed out. We also have an amazing subscription management tool for all of those recurring direct debit payments. This allows businesses to issue unique individual Visa debit cards for all of the recurring payments in the business. We have an end-to-end reimbursement tool, which again, we approach really differently to other expense claim solutions in the market. Of course, staff through the app can upload a receipt. They can code that expense and submit it. With our expense policies, we can route those reimbursements and any payment type within Weel through really granular delegations of approval. And on final approval, we can actually process and pay that reimbursement back to the employee within the hour. So the employee is not out of pocket for weeks or months, and finance isn't having to batch these reimbursements up into the AP run or those really complex payroll allocations as well. We have some amazing integrations with Xero, MYOB, and QuickBooks. One of the ones that we're really excited to be launching, which is coming soon, is NetSuite. Obviously, we can map all of your chart of accounts and customize which of these employees can code to. And one of the features I really wanted to spend a little bit of time on is our card blocking tool. This is completely unique to Weel in the market, or actually in the world. And it's giving finance teams the ability to create and drive behavioral change within the organization when it comes to expense reporting. At Weel, we think of rights and responsibilities. If we give access to a corporate card, employees have the right to spend company money within, of course, the agreed policy. But they also have the responsibility to provide back to finance the receipts and the expense reporting data. So this card blocking functionality allows you to build guardrails around if an employee does not provide their expense data within a set amount of time, we're going to freeze their card. The only way to unfreeze that card is for the employee to complete that expense, attach a receipt, assign the GL code, assign a cost center, and instantaneously the card is unfrozen and they can begin transacting on business-related purposes. I'm going to quickly jump to the mobile app, which you can see here. Mobile app is extremely user-friendly for end users. Cards are instantly issued. These can be added to Apple Pay or Google Pay. Staff can click the C card details here to retrieve their card number, expiry, CVC for online payments. And as I mentioned, within seconds of purchase, our system is chasing them up for that expense data, which they can complete in the incomplete to-do list, and they will see a list of completed data here. This is fed into the web application in real time for review from finance and ultimately pushed in seamlessly to your accounting system for what becomes a one-click bank reconciliation. And that is Weel.
Wonderful. Ahead of time as well. Maybe you get extra points. I'm not sure. We're going to run a poll now if you'd like to hear more from Weel. Thank you, Risha, in the background there. If you could pop that one up. And if we can get you to answer in that, we can follow up with you. Question in the chat. Do we only have does Weel only offer virtual cards?
No, we absolutely have physical cards as well.
Awesome. Great. I'll give you all a couple of minutes to answer that one. Well done. And my orders to finish before 2 o'clock have been listened to or answered. So thank you both so much. Well, we're going to end it there because we have a couple of sessions starting at 2 o'clock. We've got a session with ANZ, the remuneration report. So Charlotte is a general manager in New Zealand, and she's going to be running through the key insights and takeaways of that. And then we've got Winning the Boardroom with Tyler and Daniel from the Bean Counters. So that's how to pitch tech to your board, to your CEO, and how to get that approved. Yeah. Thank you, Risha. It's much easier when you've got that on the screen. All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us. Thanks, Kale. Thanks, Lauren. We'll see you on the other sessions this afternoon.